Hello, my name is Daniel Chung. I am a physiotherapist and one of the activity coaches for the Choose to Move program in Sydney, Australia. Thank you for joining us online today. Now, just before we begin, I'd like to remind you all that if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at choosetomove.study@sydney.edu.au. Alternatively, our contact details can be found on our website at choosetomove.org.au, or you can reach out to your activity coach. Okay, so today we will go through a very exciting topic that really is the foundation of the Choose to Move program. We will be looking over physical activity and social connection. The World Health Organization defines physical activity as any bodily movement produced by your muscles that requires you to spend energy. So really, it refers to any type of movement that we do on a day-to-day basis. Now, one helpful way to think about physical activity is to think about the different types of physical activity. So on this slide, you can see that we have planned exercise, household, and incidental physical activity. If we think about the first one, planned exercise, some examples of that can include things like walking, swimming, hiking outside, doing things like playing tennis or other sports, or even dancing and yoga. Some examples of that second type of physical activity, which is household physical activity, includes things like everyday chores, such as washing the dishes or doing laundry, vacuuming, or even washing the car outside. And lastly, some examples of what we call incidental physical activity, or rather non-structured physical activity or movement, include things like walking to the bus stop or biking to your local coffee shop, or even playing with your grandchildren when they come over. Now, there are actually guidelines that have been developed by the World Health Organization specifically for older adults aged 65 and over. So, as you can see on this slide here, the World Health Organization recommends older adults should do at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity per week, or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity per week in order to gain the substantial health benefits that physical activity can bring. Now, when we say aerobic exercise, what we mean is doing forms of exercise that increases your breathing and your heart rate. That will therefore increase your overall fitness. Now, if you think about that first line of recommendation, that 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity, what we mean by moderate is doing any activity where you can speak but not sing. And what we mean by vigorous activity, so that's 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous activity, what we mean by that is doing an activity where you can no longer speak while doing that activity. Now, if you have a look at the other three boxes that are here on the slide, the WHO recommends that for additional health benefits, older adults should think about performing at least 2 days a week of muscle strengthening activities that involve all their major muscle groups, so things like their leg muscles and their arm muscles. The WHO also recommends that older adults perform at least 3 days a week of physical activities that emphasizes a range of functional balance and strength components. And additionally, the WHO recommends that older adults should limit time spent in sitting, or rather what they call sedentary behavior, and to replace that sitting time with more physically active activities of any intensity where possible. Now, looking at these guidelines can be daunting, and in fact, even I struggle to meet those physical activity guidelines. When we have a look at the statistics, what's really interesting is to see that 87% of older adults aged 65 and over in Australia aren't actually meeting those guidelines that I just spoke of in that previous slide. And in fact, 75% of Australian adults in general aren't meeting their recommended physical activity guidelines. Now, that isn't to say that these guidelines of what I've just spoken about are really unrealistic, but rather I want to stress that these guidelines are really what we call guiding principles as a way to show us what is possible in the realm of physical activity. The main point that I would like to encourage you all is to think about working according to your own comfort level and current fitness levels to really maximize your physical activity goals. And some ways that you can do this is really to start small and build up slowly. So for example, instead of thinking, oh, I need to go outside and walk for an hour straight, you could perhaps start with even walking 10 minutes in the morning and then having a break and going about what you need to do in the day, and then doing another 10 minutes of walking in the evening. And then perhaps thinking about slowly increasing the walking time for each session. Now, when we think about other physical activities such as strengthening or balancing activities, try to include some muscle strengthening activities in your week, such as doing things like body weight exercises or even using weights once or twice a week. And then when you think about activities that might help your balance, you can think about doing either some yoga or Tai Chi classes, or even some specific balance exercises. And later on, I can show you a resource where you can actually find some nice resources that go through some strength and balance exercises. Now, this slide really covers the social connection side of things. There are many social benefits to increasing physical activity, especially if you decide to work out with others. Benefits can include meeting new friends and having a greater sense of motivation and really accountability to make a change towards a more active lifestyle. Also, having that social connection can really help with reducing stress and improving confidence to help your overall well-being. You can share ideas and even learn from one another, and generally it's much more fun. Now, it's at this point that I want to congratulate you already for taking that first step and joining the Choose to Move program. Now, ways that our program really encourages that side of social connection include being really intentional in our group meetings to facilitate group discussions where we can learn from one another, and also encouraging pre- and post-meeting interactions. Through this program as well, you would have already started to receive support from an expert activity coach. And also through this program, we provide opportunities where you can engage with a check-in partner or an accountability partner to really journey together to becoming more physically active, whether it's walking together to the local coffee shop or even just messaging one another to see how you are going. Now, one strategy that can be used to help you stay on track with your physical activity is what we call self-monitoring. And that can be done in various forms, whether it's keeping an exercise diary or logging it on your phone through your Apple Watch, to even ticking it off on a calendar that you put on the fridge. Now, one resource that our team has developed that you can use is this physical activity log. Now, self-monitoring tools can be helpful with habit formation, motivation, and general accountability. If you would like to use something like this physical activity log, please reach out to our team or your activity coach in the next group meeting, and we can send you a copy of this log. When using self-monitoring tools, I recommend that you keep it somewhere visible and accessible, such as the fridge, to serve as a regular reminder to record your activities and to even serve as a prompt to help you stay active. Now, keep in mind that some self-monitoring tools may not be for everyone, so I encourage you to choose the method that suits you best. Now, in terms of resources, our team has developed a summary handout of today's content, as well as some other helpful resources that you can have a look at in your own time, such as the Active and Healthy website from the New South Wales Government. And just to share some more resources with you now, another resource that you will receive from our team is a regular newsletter that will be emailed out to you during the time that you complete this program. And that will also have some more additional helpful information, resources, and even fun challenges. And if you haven't already, please check out our website, choosetomove.org.au, especially the Get Active tab. Now there, what you'll find on this website is a whole library of various exercises, printable resources, and other helpful tools that can improve your physical and mental well-being. Before we finish off, here is a nice group challenge that I would like to encourage you to try to complete before your next group session. And what that challenge is to try a new home-based physical activity every day for the next week. And really what that is to help you think about that physical activity doesn't have to be joining a really big formal exercise group. It can actually be done on your day-to-day at home. So some ways that you can try a new home-based physical activity could be washing the car outside, or taking the dog for a walk, or even just walking around the block around your home. It could involve doing some gardening, or even marching on the spot while the TV ads are playing. Again, if you want more ideas, I would encourage you to visit our Choose to Move website, specifically on the Get Active tab. I want to emphasize again on a point that I spoke about earlier, where I encourage you to start small and build up slowly. So it can really just be 5 minutes even for the first few days at a pace that is comfortable and safe for you. We are keen to see how you went with this in the next group session. We look forward to seeing you at our next session, which will go over incidental physical activity. Now, if you aren't sure about the date of your next group session, please reach out to our team or your activity coach. Thank you for joining us today online for our group session on physical activity and social connection. We look forward to seeing you at our next group session. Thank you.